Basically, the classroom is a place, or it should have such a learning environment in which faculty and students are basically not hindered by any disturbing behavior. So external behavior should not be such that which may disturb the behavior or the environment in the classroom. Okay, this behavior, this external factor can be the learner psychology as well, which may disturb the learning, or which may impact the learning of the learner. And at the same time, the teacher is also an important factor. So when I'm talking about learner, it is not it is about student, but we are the one who are teaching, who are giving the thoughts, passing the knowledge to the learners. Okay, so we need to manage their behavior, and managing behavior in classroom undoubtedly is very, very important. Okay, we cannot manage our classroom every time by punishing the students. Okay, I presume that most of the teachers who are here are dealing with undergraduate and postgraduate students. So when I'm talking about higher education, so we are not in such a position that every time we can punish our students. Okay, or it is also not possible that every time for every act we can reward our students. Okay, so to manage our class properly, to have good control over the class, we need to behave in such a manner that will help our students to gain most out of the class. When we are coming to the class, they have that objective in their mind. We have to behave in such a way, we as teachers have to behave or have to pass such a knowledge to the students that they should understand that they are gaining something in our class. Okay, so we have to make our class such a place where student will come willfully and they will leave after gaining some knowledge from our class. Okay, so when the word psychology comes in our mind, okay, what happens? We generally relate the word psychology with the mental illness. Sometimes we relate it with counselors. It comes as somebody is mentally ill and now we need some counseling sessions. We need some kind of therapies. We need counselor around us who may help us in this counseling type of situation. Okay, whereas psychology, it is derived from the Greek word psycho plus logos. Basically, psycho means our soul and logo means science. So psychology itself means the science of soul. Okay, so it is something that helps us in studying our day-to-day life. So it has in later stage or in some critical stage, definitely it may lead to some counseling session or where the counselors are involved, or we can say that it may took the level where we can say it is a kind of mental illness. But when we are talking about psychology, it has nothing to do with the mental illness in beginning. It is about studying our day-to-day life. When we are studying somebody's behavior, when we are studying the psychology, we are trying, and especially when we are considering the classroom psychology, we are trying to answer some questions related to our class, like why my student is behaving like this. Okay, why he or she is resisting something. Okay, what are the thoughts that might be coming in my student's mind when he or she is in my class. Okay, or even beyond the class, we generally think why we are emotionally attached to something, why we generally fall in love or get attracted to someone else. Okay, why the children or the behavior of children changes when they grow up. Okay, so it is all about studying or answering these kind of questions which are coming to our mind. So basically, the science of soul, the psychology, it is a scientific process. Okay, and why it is scientific? Because it involves systematic study of observable events. Okay, there are certain events which we can easily observe. Okay, we can or we can not just the events, but the behavior can be observed. So there is a systematic method of studying the behavior and reaching to some conclusion. Okay, so when I say when we are studying the behavior, so the behavior can be unlearned process or behavior can be learned process also. Sometimes we have developed something or some kind of behavior because we have seen it right from the birth. When I say culture, okay, maybe my upbringing is done in such a family where some kind of culture is followed. So it is a learned behavior. Okay, I've learned it with time because I'm surrounded by the people who are following this. So it is in my mind. Now it is a part of my behavior. I have to act like this because I have already inculcated that deeds, that things in my behavior. So these are learned behavior, okay, which are acquired through practice. But sometimes the behaviors are unlearned. Behavior is unlearned. It comes automatically. So when we see snake, our reflex will automatically work. We will react automatically. We will feel either shocked or scared when we see snake or a tiger. Okay, but the reaction is not so when we see dog or a cow. Okay, so this kind of behavior is unlearned, which includes our reflexes, our psychological problems, our instincts. Okay, so this is unlearned behavior, and psychology includes study of both kind of behavior, whether it is unlearned or the learned one. So today, psychology is scientific method. We can say it is a scientific method of collecting data about individual and group. So here we are focusing on group, and this group is our students. Okay, we need to analyze their behavior, and we as a teacher are supposed to predict their behavior so that we can give our best to the students, and that student can take best from our class. Okay, so there are two famous authors or psychologists, I can say, who have given the definitions of psychology, where Woodworth and Marquis said that psychology is the scientific study of activities of individual in relationship to the environment. So he's focusing more on those unlearned behavior, and he said that as per our environment, as per the environment, the individual behaves. Okay, the environment is good, the individual is supposed to be happy, he feels happy, the efficiency of work or the productivity will increase. But if the environment is not good, okay, or environment is not in his or her favor, they might not be feeling happy, they might be feeling sad, and ultimately the efficiency may fall. Okay, so they try to find that connect between environment, individual's behavior, and his or her efficiency. While NN1 defined psychology as today's concern itself with the scientific investigation of behavior. He also said that it is a scientific investigation. There is a sequence that we need to follow when we are studying the behavior. Okay, outrightly we cannot reach to some conclusion. Okay, so this psychology can further be divided into two different branches, two different classification of psychology is given. One says it is a basic branch and another is applied branch. These are further classified as when we are talking about the basic branch, we are talking about some abnormal psychology. Okay, some experimental psychology, general psychology, developmental psychology, and societal psychology. But when we are talking about applied psychology, it includes personality psychology, health psychology, forensic psychology, industrial psychology, clinical psychology, and learner psychology. So our focus will be on this particular branch or this particular classification of applied branch of psychology, which is called learner psychology, or we also call this as educational psychology. There is another name by which we can call it. It is classroom psychology. So our today's focus will be on this learner psychology or educational psychology. So when I talk about this learner psychology, basically it studies and applies various theories and concepts, okay, from all psychological settings, okay, all classroom settings. So there are definitions which are given by famous psychologists who said that it is a branch of psychology concerned with scientific study of human learning. So since we are talking about learners, and learners are human beings, okay, so the branch of psychology that is related to study of human learning is learner psychology. So it is nothing but one of the branch of applied psychology, as I mentioned. And it is an attempt to apply the knowledge of psychology in the field of education. Okay, so when human psychology or the psychology or the steps which are followed to study human learning and it is applied in the field of education, it leads to education psychology, or I can say learner psychology. So learner psychology is the study of experience and behavior of learners in relation to the learner's environment. So our focus will be on learner psychology and classroom psychology. Now, why? Why do we need to study this? We are doing this to make the student teachers relationship more stronger, more positive. The openness should be there. That is why it is required for a teacher to study and understand the psychology of the students. And once this behavior, this relationship is positive enough, it would be easier for a teacher to make student understand what she want to really convey. Okay, they can understand, the students can also put best of their possible potential to understand or to get best out of teacher if the psychology is understood properly. So that is why our focus will be on learner psychology today. There are formal definitions which are given by different psychologists. When Crow and Crow put it as learner psychology describes and explains the learning experience of an individual. Okay, and it is studied right from the birth till old age. So since we are born until we are alive, okay, our psychology can be studied. Okay, there are groups are formed according to different age, different categorization can be done, and these groups can be studied to understand the psychology. Okay, how an infant is behaving. Okay, an infant is someone who cannot speak. Okay, but still they are expressing. Now it is possible for a mother to easily understand what an infant is looking for, what he or she is asking for, because they somehow, or after spending time with the kids, understood their behavior, what they want to express. Okay, similarly, pediatricians are trained in such a way that they can easily understand by analyzing or by examining an infant that what problem he or she is going through. Accordingly, they can prescribe some medicine or they can suggest to their parents what to be done. Okay, so right from the beginning till we are born, since we are born, our psychologies are studied by different people at different level. Even when we are in old age, so there are people who are continuously studying the psychology of people who are in old age. Okay, accordingly, this Peel said that learner psychology is science of learning. So when we are learning the psychology of learner, it is also some science that we are applying. It is the branch of psychology which deals with teacher and learning. This definition was given by Skinner. Okay, now when I'm talking about learner psychology with regard to teaching and learning, so what all factors or what are things we need to keep in our mind when we are talking about psychology, especially with regard to teaching and learning? Now, the purpose of doing this is to know the learner really well. As I mentioned in the beginning also, why we are doing so. Because if we can understand our learner pretty well, it would be easier for us to prepare our lectures. Okay, it would be easier that for us to understand that how we should talk to our students so that they can also get best out of it. They can learn as much as possible, or at least what I'm delivering, they should understand it pretty well. Then the purpose behind this is also to select and organize the subject matter or learning experiences. Okay, so beforehand, if I know my learners, I can plan my lecture accordingly. I can also, add some kind of exercises that can be done in the class in spite of just sharing the matter. I can also decide what content I am going to share in the class. Okay, how I need to deal the subject in the class. See, I'm taking the classes for Masters of Commerce and MBA students. Suppose I'm teaching finance in both the classes. But see, teaching pedagogy that is followed for Masters of Commerce students, MCOM students, is different from what I'm following it for MBA students. Okay, because their ultimate aim is different. The purpose of doing that course is different. Though the concepts are same, but the tools that I need to use to teach the same subject in two different type of classes is different. So if I understand my learners well, I can plan this beforehand. Okay, then it is also to suggest art and techniques of learning as well as teaching. Okay, whatever we are applying in the form of teaching, they are learning, our students are learning. So I need to find out the best practices that I can follow in our teaching so that my student can learn it easily. We should not be really harsh to our students. We should try to prepare our classes in such a manner that students, first of all, they should enjoy our classes. It should not be the forceful act. Okay, I never, put or punish any of my students for attendance purpose. Okay, I always give them liberty that whenever they want to come to class, whenever they want to leave, they are free. Okay, even I give them notes when we end up with one particular topic in the class. So those who are not interested can always leave my class, because they will never be penalized for the attendance and never be penalized for not attending the classes. But still, those students who are coming to the classes, they are gaining something additionally apart from the notes that are given to them, apart from the attendance that we are giving to them. So that extra need to be given in the class. This extra is the experience that we are giving them. Okay, that experience to be shared, that can only be learned by the student who are coming to the class. Okay, that discussion can be done only in the class. These notes can give you the idea that what was discussed in the class, but the detail can only be gained only when the students are coming to the class. So this kind of environment should be created in the class, that when the students are coming to the class, they should enjoy it, they feel happy about it. Okay, we need to arrange learning situation or environment for them. Okay, so we can use different type of tools. Okay, we can arrange such situation, we can make some setup. I may beforehand can give them some notes so that they can study in advance and come to the class, so they are also not coming blank to the class. Now in this process, what happens when they will come to class, they will also have some idea about the topic in the mind, so they can also contribute in that manner. Okay, when I'm introducing a new topic to the class and they don't have any idea about it, you will never get any response from the student. At times, you will see that class, you will feel your class is going altogether blank. You are talking, you are teaching, you are trying to put your best, but your students are blank. They are not responding at all because they are not aware of what is happening. Okay, recently I took a class. I'm taking finance for MBA and MCOM student. As I said, I recently took a topic of de-dollarization, which is a buzzword nowadays. But on last Monday, when I introduced this particular title or this word to them, nobody was aware. So I left the class that time. I left that topic for that class not to be discussed that time. Then I gave them 2 or 3 articles. And yesterday I took I asked the same class to talk about it. Now they have lot many inputs to share. So I have arranged, I have managed, I have created a situation for them wherein they can react, they can talk, they can speak about it. Okay, they can think more about it. Okay, now we need to acquaint them with the mechanism of heredity and environment. So slowly and steadily, we cannot push everything on them right in the beginning. So slowly and steadily, we can make them adaptive. Okay, they can develop these habits of learning, they develop these habits of talking, they can slowly and steadily can adapt the environment. So we need to create such mechanism for them. Okay, they need to understand this thing. Then also we need to make them understand the discipline. Okay, how and why this discipline is important. Again, as I said, this can be done by punishing them if they are not doing something which you want them to do in the class. Alternate is we can reward them. But both of these situations, punishing or rewarding, are two extremes. So we need to find some balance between them. Okay, yesterday only this happened with me in the class. So I need to give this liberty to my students. When I entered the class, my students said, ma'am, we don't want to study today. Okay, I've opened my PPTs. I want to discuss a topic related to finance yesterday in my class, but they said, ma'am, we are not in mood of studying. Okay, so I have not used the tool. I have not used the PPT, because if I use the PPT, they will be in a kind of stressful situation, because they'll keep on thinking that we are saying that we are not in mood of study, but ma'am is still teaching. So I have not used PPTs, but without showing anything, without showing any material to them, I took them to some topic for some discussion. Like I have introduced them topic of green finance. Okay, I talked about it. I talked about how this finance thing can contribute to climate change, how climate change is impacting the stock markets. So in this way, they were in perception that they are not studying, they were just discussing. But from a teacher's point of view, I have discussed one topic with them without them making them feel that they are studying. So we as a teacher, we need to learn this art of teaching, how we can maintain the discipline. I've managed the discipline. None of them left my class. None of them created any kind of chaos. Okay. They were very much happy contributing to their thoughts. Okay. Brainstorming session was going on, and silently a topic which I was supposed to discuss. Of course, that was not the topic for which I was prepared, but it's a different topic. But yes, I have covered one topic in my class. So this is how I have maintained discipline in class. Okay. Then this psychology is also studied for rendering guidance services. Okay. Now, sometimes it is not only about teaching, maintaining discipline, sharing with the students, but at times what happened beyond this also, we need to support our students. Like in our department, we have categorized, again, this is nothing on papers. This is done by individual teachers. We pointed out, or we identify the students who are advanced learners and who are slow learners. Okay. And now we are, again, without sharing with the students, we are slowly and steadily focused on those students who are slow learners. But the guidance is different for advanced learners. So those who are slow learners, I'm giving them small activities to do in class. Okay, while those are advanced learner, I'm giving them advanced activities. Okay, like for slow learners, I'm asking them to prepare PPT, prepare presentation or something so that they can speak in class. But those who are advanced learner, who are aware of how they can prepare the PPTs, how they have to present and everything, for them, I'm preparing them to go and attend some conferences outside your university. Okay, but again, both the students are all the students are happy. None of them are aware that why this categorization, how this categorization has been done. But I'm catering both set of students, those who are slow learners as well as those who are fast learners. Okay. And ultimately, what happens, if we understand the psychology, it also helps us in our evaluation and assessment. Now, what happens, there was a time when we were students, the subjective kind of assessment was used to do. Okay, when we were in school, we have to appear for like half yearly, and then we have to appear for just final exams. Like in 10th or 12th, they have to appear only for the final exam, and this final exams, the results of the final exams will be the final result of that particular class. Now, what happened? The trend is changing. Okay, now we are more into formative assessment. Okay, this has to be the continuous assessment. I'm sure most of the colleges and most of the universities have adopted and are in process of adapting this. Okay, so the concept of final or year-end exams are going redundant. Now, a continuous evaluation has to be done. Okay, so at PG level also, we are facing, and we are doing this thing, in fact. Okay, we are taking a small midterm after, say, about 1.5 or 2 months of starting the semester. Okay, and a continuous evaluation process is always going on, like a small test, by presentations, by giving some quizzes in class. Okay, there are different type of activities that I have introduced in my class, and this is how I'm continuously evaluating the process, the kids who are there in my class. I'm doing this continuous assessment in my class, and ultimately when they are performing in the final exams, there are two things happen. One, they are prepared for writing the exams properly because they are being evaluated continuously. So the last moment pressure will not come to them. And when I am evaluating, I also know that what kind of student this is. When he is writing this or writing that, what does he actually mean? Okay, so that mugging up kind of situation will not be there anymore. That they are also writing what they have learned. I am also just correcting what is there in the books. So it is all about what I have taught in the class and what they have learned out of it. How they are applying this in the practical life. Okay, then I need to help them in solving classroom problems as well. That is why also I need to study the psychology. As I said, there are slow learners and fast learners in class. Okay, I need to help them in different ways, that how they can solve the problems that they are facing in class. I can always form some kind of group, okay, and can give them some situation and let them react in that situation. So it is like a controlled experiment that I can do in my class. Okay. Then it also helps not just the students, but as a teacher also, it helps us in knowing about myself. Okay, so student will also know after these kind of experiments, that where they are lagging and how they can improve. And as a teacher, I also got to know that where I am lagging and how I can improve my classroom experience for my students. Okay, so it will further act as a motivation for teaching and learning as well. Okay, so I can improve on my teaching and I can help my students improve on their learning sessions. It will also add to the knowledge about group study and group behavior. This will help me as a teacher to study the group, okay, and to study the group behavior and how I need to react, what all steps I can do, okay, to manage that group at that moment. Okay. Then we are talking about learning and learning psychology. So learning is basically an attempt to make and shape the behavior of students. Okay, that is why we are teaching our students, because we want them to behave in certain manner. Okay, when they have studied about finance, when they have studied about the concept of finance, I expect them to solve some problems which are related to it. Okay, so we expect them to behave in certain manner. So that is why we are teaching and they are learning. So the learning is successful when what we want to explain them or we want to teach them, they have adapted, not just listened, not just understood, but they can also be able to apply, practically apply this in their day-to-day life. Okay, then only the learning process can be said as complete process. The aim of this is to produce desirable changes in our students. Okay, and that too for all-round development of their personality. So what used to happen that we were kind of, preparing machineries. We used to make them learn the formulas and how and why these are used. But now the trend is changing. Again, the focus is on creating good human being, good personalities first. Okay. And the things will automatically come. They will start learning on their own. They will start taking interest on their own. Okay. First of all, we need to, as I said, it is a science of soul. Okay, so the first thing is to reach to their soul if we really want to teach them. Okay, now this is the essential knowledge. This is learning is an essential knowledge and skill to do the job satisfactorily. Okay, and it has to be supplied by learner psychology. Okay, how we are able to give them what they want when we understand this psychology. And keeping this in mind, Peels, a famous psychologist, quoted these lines, and he said that learner psychology helps the teacher to understand the development of pupils. Okay, the range and limit of their capacities, the process by which they learn their social relationship. Okay, so the social relationship is supreme. First of all, they need to be in relation with their mates, their classmates, their teachers, the people they are surrounded with them, their hostel mates, their roommates. Okay, then only you can reach to, see, we need to break the outer circle first, and then only we can reach to the inner circle. So this is how slowly and steadily we can reach to the mind of student and we can understand what they are looking for. And then only we can choose the right tools that how we can cater their needs. So when we talk about learner psychology, there are certain functions, or I can say it broadly, that these are the functions which are served by while we are studying learner psychology. Now, it is done to afford a thorough knowledge of nature of student. So the same things were discussed earlier also. So it is like a brief of the same thing only. So we are doing this to understand the nature of students thoroughly, so that we can provide the understanding of nature, aims, and purpose of learning. Okay. Once we will understand the nature of the student, we will be able to provide them a clear understanding of what we are going to teach them, and we can able to serve them better. It also helps us to acquire familiarity with the technical vocabulary and to further an understanding and appreciation of scientific procedures, okay, by which the data of learner psychology are obtained. So basically, we will be able, since we know since we as teachers now know our students, okay, we understood them pretty well. So we can choose the right words, right techniques, okay, right procedures that can be applied to my class. Okay, so that they can learn best of what we are providing. It also helps us to provide a significant knowledge of development process with a particular emphasis upon promotion, guidance, and control of mental and moral aspects. As I said, we are not creating machines. Okay, we are creating good human beings. Okay, who are educated. Okay, there is a difference between being literate and being educated. Now we are providing education to our students. Okay, and this by learning the learner psychology, we would be able to serve the purpose. Okay, now because after obtaining the data about the learner psychology, we will be able to understand the process of development that we can provide them. Okay, and this may help us in giving them better guidance, better direction about their future. Okay, it also helps us to provide an understanding of principles of governing learning, principles that are governing the learning. Okay, together with the knowledge of techniques for improvement in learning and their application to practical problems in the classroom. Okay, so we can give them, as I mentioned earlier, also some problem to them, and we can ask them to react. This is how we as a teachers also understanding their psychology, how our students are reacting to one particular situation. Next time we can plan better if we are able to understand these things. It also helps to present the theories underlying the measurement and evaluation of mental abilities. And at the year end, the purpose of us as teachers is to understand whether what we have taught throughout the year or throughout the semester, whether our students understood it or not. We are judging them through using various tools, and taking exams is also one of the tools. So we are evaluating their mental abilities, their aptitudes, their achievement, their interest, and of course their personality and organization, how we can improve their personality. And when we feel satisfied that throughout the semester that the student is able to grasp what we were trying to learn, then only we promote the students to the next semester. Okay, so these are the functions of learner psychology. So when we are talking about psychology of learner, there are certain concerned areas or some problems that we need to focus on, like why we are studying the psychology. Like, we need to answer these kind of questions when we are studying the psychology. Does the study of Sanskrit helps than the study of Hindi? Okay, can memory be improvised? Why do we actually forget? Are there any economic method of memorizing? Is there any way we can purchase the memory? How do children acquire skills? What are the ways through which we can inculcate skills into our students? When is learning more effective? Okay, whether taking some classes in the morning are effective or taking classes in the afternoon are effective. Okay, so we can answer these questions by studying the psychology. What are the factors that helps the learning process? Okay, how do we measure the amount of learning? It is a qualitative term. It is not quantitative. But there should be the way. And the way or the tools that we are using assessments. We are using evaluation. Okay. Then there are certain problems that are generally faced by the students. Okay. When they are feeling some problem mentally. So there are certain psychological problems that is developed in students. And we as a teacher not just need to understand, but we need to help our students to solve these problems as well. Okay, let us take these problems one by one. So first of all, procrastination. Okay, so this is something that we know that this is the deadline. I know that how I need to do this. I know the process, I know the answer and everything, but still I'm not doing this. Still I'm postponing this thing. Okay, so it is a kind of problem. When you're aware of deadlines, you know the process, you know everything, but still you are not feeling like doing this. This is a problem. This is a psychological problem which students are facing. And it may further lead to bad scores, okay, bad grades. And sometimes the student may fail because of it. If they're not submitting their assignments well in time, obviously as a teacher, you won't be able to, give them marks. So as a teacher, it is our duty. So keep on checking with the students that what problem they are going through. And if they're really going through some problem, we should give them solution. Okay, now what happens at times, the students wants to be really, really perfect. Now what happens that some students are like very, very bright in terms of academics and they're performing really well from their beginning of their school days. So they are in habit of doing everything in a very perfect manner. And when they are growing or coming to the higher education system, so they are meeting different people from different schools. Now what happens? Now they may find some other students are performing well. Sometimes it is not acceptable by this student who are always coming first in their class. Okay, they again want to be perfect. They again want to be the best in their class. It ultimately lead to some problem, psychological problem which are faced by the students. So perfection, being perfect also sometimes creates problem. This may also lead to the depression, sometimes general anxiety, sometimes social anxiety. If they are not perfect, they are not ready to show their work to anyone. Okay, so it is a kind of social, they don't feel like meeting people. They are like on very low level in terms of satisfaction from their life. Now they are not feeling satisfied with their own scores. Okay, they are feeling very low in terms of self-worth or in terms of self-esteem, which ultimately decrease their productivity. So this is how being perfectionism is also a problem. Then, as I said, it leads to the low self-esteem. It is also a sign of mental health issue. When somebody is very low in terms of their self-esteem, they are not talking to the people, they are not confident enough to talk to people around them. Even with their classmates, they are not able to talk confidently. Then there is a problem. So it is, of course, a sign of mental health issue, which we as a teachers need to find out. Okay, we need to understand. And as I said, we also create a group of people so we can focus on these students, giving them more chance to come and speak. Okay, appreciating them for very small efforts they are putting. Okay, we should always tell them that how they are improving on whatever they are lacking. Okay, because this may further create anxiety, stress. At times they start living lonely. Okay, they don't want to share their thoughts with anybody, and ultimately they fall in depression. The students may fall in depression, and they may also develop some bad habits, maybe smoking, drinking, or not taking care of themselves. So we need to control this. Okay, we need to control this beforehand, before it go or slips out of our hand. So we need to point out that problems in the students. Okay, and again, silently we need to work on it. Then anxiety and stress. Okay, this is also a social behavior problem. Basically, when people are behaving socially, okay, and this kind of thing, that anxiety, this stress, sometimes it's visible. It is visible from our face. It's visible from how we are speaking. Okay, how we are talking or dealing with people. Sometimes depression is silent. It is not visible. Okay, but again, if we observe the behavior minutely, we can easily be able to point out that who is going through any kind of stress, anxiety, or depression. Obviously not in the front of class, but you can talk to these kind of students personally if they are facing, and if you can do something, it is our duty as a teacher to definitely do this for them. Okay, we need to observe them very minutely in if they are going through some kind of anxiety and stress, because what happens, it may also lead to some kind of poor performance or poor learning kind of situation in class. Okay, they will start neglecting their hygiene. They will be really, really bad in terms of self-care. Okay, because they are stressed, they are anxious. Okay, so we as a teachers need to understand this and work on this. And sometimes what happen, uh, when somebody is weak in terms of communication, they are not able to express what they want to express. Okay, it also affects their academic progress. Sometimes it's being difficult for student to understand what teacher is saying, and as a teacher I also fail to understand that what my student wants to express. But again, as a group, as a team, we need to work on it. Okay, we need to sit with this kind of students and we need to talk with them. Okay, where they are lacking. Okay, and as a result, if they are facing problems, they sometimes start avoiding the classes. They stop attending the classes. Okay, they face some kind of difficulty in writing the test. So again, as a teachers, it is our duty to point out these kind of problems and to give the solution to our students. There are certain major areas which are covered by learner psychology. Okay, so these are the 6 areas. Of course, the focus revolves around the learner, because we are talking about learner psychology, but rest of the factors are also carrying good weight. Okay, learner, of course, we are talking about the student. So need of knowing the students and dealing with the individual differences is very important. Okay, we need to understand their conscious as well as unconscious behavior. What is learned, what is unlearned. We need to understand the characteristics of development and growth from their childhood to adulthood. Sometimes they develop these kind of habits because nobody is there to stop them anything since their childhood. So in adulthood also they are having the same habit. Okay, so we need to understand that from the learner's point of view. Then the second thing is learner's learning process. Okay, we as a teacher need to focus on the process as well. How we are putting our thoughts in front of students and how they are grasping, how they are absorbing our thoughts. Okay, learning experience to be provided with very ease. Okay, the learning experience should be very, very easy for them. They should enjoy learning. In the beginning also I said, the class is some place where the student should come and enjoy. Okay, they should feel happy when they are coming to the class. It should not be like a forceful thing for them. Okay, we need to teach them in such a way that they are able to remember this in class. Okay, like storytelling is a method through which, if we are teaching, mind it, most of the students will never ever forget the concept if we are teaching the same thing in form of story, or if we are giving them opportunity to speak about it. They will never forget in our these kind of concepts ever in their life. Okay, so we should give them the such situation where they can able to understand pretty well. We should give them their chance to speak out what they are perceiving, how the problems can be solved, how they can think deeply. Okay, we can train them for this. The learning situation means the classroom environment. Okay, what kind of environment are we giving them? Comfortable class. Okay, is it properly ventilated? Is the lighting proper? Okay, are they comfortable in the chairs in which they are sitting? Okay, are they able to hear you properly? Are you clearly audible? Are you clearly visible? Okay, so the environment should be very friendly. Then learning situation. So here we are talking about the pedagogy that we are using. Okay, it has to be changed according to the age, according to the mental level to whom we are interacting. Sometimes their past knowledge. Okay. As I said, there is a difference between MCOM students and MBA students, because MCOM students are one who have done BCom. So their past knowledge is different from MBA students. MBA students are from mixed backgrounds. Some are from arts, some are from commerce, and some are from science. Okay, so this is MBA batch is a kind of mixed batch. So I need to use different pedagogy when I'm dealing with two different classes. Okay, now this is my skill. What situation I'm giving them, what teaching situation, what pedagogy I'm following to give them best. Then evaluation of learning performance. As I said, ultimately we have to evaluate. And as I said, the subjective assessment is no more appreciated. Now we are into the process of formative assessment, okay, which leads to the development of learner. Okay, a regular assessment, a regular evaluation is required so that we can guide, we can counsel our student from time to time. Okay, and of course, teacher, we. Okay, it is not that we are talking only about the learner. If we are in good mental health, then only these 5 factors are possible. Then only learner can get best out of it. If I am facing some kind of problem or mental issues, then it would be difficult for me to react. It would be difficult for me to study learner behavior. Okay, so myself as a teacher, I need to understand my personality traits as well. Okay, I need to understand my interest, my attitude. Okay, my characteristics that I need to possess to be an efficient teacher. Okay, then how I handle my stress. Okay, whether my stress is reflecting on my face, whether I'm carrying my stress to my class or not. Okay, this as a teacher I need to work on. Now there are certain methods of studying psychology of learning. Okay, these are 3 methods: introspection, observation method, and experimental method. I'll be talking about these 3 methods one by one. So when we are talking about introspection method, So it is a method of self-observation. Okay, so the first thing when we are talking about this psychology, learner psychology. So when I'm talking about introspection, so it is made up of a Latin word, which is of course made by joining two words, which is intro and aspection. So intro means within and aspection means looking. So when we are looking within ourselves, looking within oneself, then we are following introspection method. So this method is where the individual is looking into himself or herself. Okay, now there are three stages of introspection method, which says that during observation of external objects, the person means to ponder over his own mental states. I'm thinking about myself continuously. Okay, when I'm talking about this particular method, okay, why I am doing so, why I am getting angry, why I am behaving so. If the situation will be like that, will I behave in the similar fashion? If the things will fall in place, will I react like I reacted like this only? So I need to observe myself. So when I'm observing myself, I'm following introspection method. Now, person being to question the working of his own mind, he thinks and analyze himself, his mind. He tries to frame the law and conditions of mental process. So he will try to calm himself down if they are not reacting properly. Okay. Then he thinks in terms of improvement of his reasoning or control of his own emotional stages. So if I'm a person who is very emotional, so I need to check it with myself, how I can control my emotions. Okay, where at least I should control my emotion. Okay, especially in the on professional front, emotions need to be very, very controlled. I need to control my emotion when I'm talking to somebody who is professional, because emotions won't work there. The next method is observation method. It is clear from the word itself, observation. Okay, so observation has defined as measurement without instrument. So we don't have any instrument to measure. All we need to do is we need to sit calm, we need to see, and we need to perceive what we are seeing. Okay, so Goods has defined in his own words that observation deals with overt behavior, which is obvious in nature. Okay, behavior of person in an appropriate situation, how the person is going to react in this situation. If I enter my class and suddenly I announce that I'm going to take your test, I just need to observe that how my students are reacting. Are they really cool about it? Are they okay with it? Or they are getting it as a shock, they are retaliating it. Okay, it shows that how I'm teaching in class. Okay. So it is just the way of observing the same thing. Again, the four steps are there. First is observation of behavior. So first of all, in the very first steps, we involve in this method of observation by directly perceiving or observing the behavior of individual who are under study. Now I'm considering my students are the people who are under my study. Okay, so I'm observing their behavior and trying to perceive this behavior. Second is I'm continuously recording this behavior. So whatever I have perceived, whatever I have noticed, I will immediately note it down. Otherwise, what happens? Sometimes I may also forget it later. Okay, then I will analyze and interpret the behavior. Okay, I will try to analyze the behavior because I've noted down everything that on this day my class reacted this way, on this day my class reacted this way. When I announced this, this was the reaction. When I announced this, this was the reaction. Now I try to analyze the behavior, how my students are behaving. Are they really happy about this subject, or there is something that is missing? They are coming forcefully to my class, then how I can improve on it? Okay, once I will study this, I will generalize the data. I will generalize my results. So on the basis of analysis that I have done, on the basis of interpretation that I have done by analyzing the data, now it is possible to generalize certain things. Okay, it is possible to generalize. Like, as I said, pediatricians, okay, they know when the infants are crying, they might be facing some problem in their stomach. Okay, so this is a general perception because they are not able to speak, But when they are facing some problem, this is, and accordingly, they will suggest. So social development and behavior of children has been described by child psychologists, because it is so difficult at the age group which we are dealing with. So as I said, I'm presuming that most of us are dealing with UG and PG students. It is relatively easier. But when we are talking about small students, small as in very small, like the age group of 1, 2, 3, 4 years, at that time, it is so difficult to understand their psychology because they don't have words to express as well. Okay, there it is more applicable, this kind of situation. We need to observe, we need to analyze, we need to understand. Okay, so there this observation method is very successful. Then the third one is experimental method. Now, William Woods, long time back in 1879, he has established the first psychological lab in Leipzig city in Germany. So he conducted some experiments there. Okay, the experimental method consists of actions performed under a pre-arranged or rigidly controlled condition. Now, people are called to this particular lab, and they might be given some questionnaire, or they might be asked to do some kind of some activity that might be given to them, and he notices that what they are doing, how they are reacting. Okay, he noted down this kind of their reaction, and they further lead to some kind of conclusion based on the analysis. So, but this is done for the purpose of experiment. The special laboratory is established for this purpose. The environment that is given to them is very much controlled, that is pre-arranged for them. So experimentation is where the investigator controls the educative factors to which a group of students are subjected during the period of inquiry and observes the resulting achievements. Okay, so these are the factors that we are providing to our students. These are the environment that we are giving to our students, and we are observing and reaching to some conclusion based on the reactions, based on how they are reacting to that particular situation. In this slide, J.W. Best describes experimental research is a description and analysis of what will be or what will occur under carefully controlled situation. Okay, because in this case, the situation is in our control, and they analyze that how people are reacting. They are trying to understand their psychology. Okay, sometimes these experiments are done by telling the learners or telling this group of students that they are under experiment. And sometimes experiments are done without making them aware that they are examined, they are under control, we are observing them. And now they are trying to study that how they are behaving when they know that experiment is going on and when they don't know that experiment is going on. The results may be different. Okay, and based on these answers, based on the interpretation, we can generalize the results. So these are the basic way of reaching to some conclusion, okay, based on different methods. So this is something really common. I think in spite of whatever stream we are from, we are following these steps for any kind of experiment that we are doing. So the first step is we are identifying the problems, and then we are formulating the hypothesis. That means we are taking certain assumptions. Okay, now we are making clear distinction between independent and dependent variable. What would be our dependent and what would be our independent variable? Now we are also introducing or controlling the situational variable. There are certain control variables also. Okay, we need to control them. We control these variables to further analyzing the data that is being collecting. So now the data is analyzed, and finally, on the basis of the results that we are getting after analysis, we verify whether assumptions that are taken in the beginning are acceptable or not. Okay, and by accepting or rejecting the hypothesis, by verifying the hypothesis, we will reach to the conclusion of our experiment. Okay, so these are the steps that we follow in our experiment, and this is all about, from my side, about learner psychology. So as a teacher, I would like to end this presentation with a quote by Swami Dayanand Saraswati. He said that a teacher is not a professional, for he or she has no clients. We don't have clients. Okay. we have only students. Teacher-students relationship is one like even mother-child relationship. We need to understand even if they are not speaking about it. That means the teacher cares. Okay, this caring for the student make a teacher a real teacher. Okay, so thank you. Now the session is open for question answers. If any of you want to discuss or want to say something, you are most welcome.